no better feeling in the world for a gamer when we actually find a game on a system that we absolutely love. And the game that I recently found is a rather old game. It came out in like 2017, but to be fair, it came out for PlayStation 4. I never had a PlayStation 4. I've only had my PS5 for like a year and a half now. But the game that I am talking about is so much fun. It won so many awards at the Game Awards. It's a real treat to play. It's very linear, but just the storyline to it is amazing. And the game I want to talk about is Hellblade. I honestly haven't been this excited to talk about a video game since I talked about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and Age of Calamity was the very first game on this channel that I made 2 videos about, not just because it's a long game, but because Nintendo did such a great job adding the past and the present into that game. All the battles and stuff are really fun, but anyway, I don't want to turn this into a third video about Age of Calamity, but I'll link the 2 videos on this video just because it's a super fun game. And if you've never seen either of them, you can check it out. Anyway, what I love about Hellblade is the story to it. The message to it is so good, and just the way it starts is just beautiful. I love it. A game has never started like this the way any of the games that I've played, and it was a real treat. Not only are the graphics in this game amazing, but it starts out with Senua rowing down this river that's all gray and murky, and you got credits rolling on the sides, head of the CGI, head of VFX, things like that. There's dead bodies hanging from trees, and we have this narrator just saying what Senua's going through, what her goal is through the game, what she's trying to do, and I love that the game continuously breaks the fourth wall in this. Senua will continuously, turn to the camera and speak to it. There's a character that is behind the camera that Senua's talking to, but it feels like she's talking to you in this game, and it's really cool. The opening credits last a while because she's paddling down the river. Eventually she gets out, and I kind of thought it was kind of gonna be a open world thing where she can draw her sword and slash and do anything. I kind of tried at the beginning, but it's been very linear, which at first I didn't really care for. But the further I got into the game, I realized that this kind of gameplay makes sense for the story that this game is trying to tell. So, Senua is a warrior from an ancient northern tribe, and what she's doing is that she's trying to basically get to this place called Hellheim. The thing about Hellblade is that it's very based on Norse mythology. During Senua's travels to Hellblade, or Hellheim, it's really cool. She'll travel through the mountains and things like that. And what I love about it is that she'll be climbing this ladder, and she'll have to carefully work her way around the mountains. She'll be sliding along the ledge of this cliff, and the camera will pan down. So if you're afraid of heights, good luck getting through this part. Might as well do it with your eyes closed. But it's so cool because you get this first-person view of what Senua's looking at. She's facing death at every turn as she's going on this journey to get to Hellheim, going through the wilderness, which is really cool. But I love that there's these statues as she goes on through her journey, that they have these little ruins on them. And you can activate them, and this voice appears, and you can learn about these different topics of Norse mythology. You learn how Odin lost his eye trying to drink from the well of wisdom. You learn about, like, Ragnarok. You learn all these Norse mythology facts. I thought that was really cool how the game ties a serious story as Senua's traveling to Hell to get back the soul of her lover, but you're also learning facts about mythology that is actually pretty interesting. It's pretty cool that the game tied those two together so well. The game does have a long opening to actually start the, like, action world of the game. Like, linear style-wise, it takes a while, but I'm fine with that, because I can appreciate the beauty and the graphics. I've already said this, but the graphics in this are amazing. But one thing you gotta learn is that, like, near the beginning of the game, Senua, I guess she's, like, poisoned or something by this rot, and it starts on her hand, and it's basically kind of like Tears of the Kingdom, how Link has Raru's hand, except this time the rot, every time you lose the game, the rot will travel further up Senua's arm, and if it reaches Senua's brain, then you lose the game. Well, the game tells you that you lose the game and you have to start over. I thought that I was so nervous about that the first time I played this because I was terrible at the combat and I thought I was going to have to start over, which made me nervous, but the whole thing's a hoax anyway. But I love that the game has a feeling that you have to survive in this, because if you die one too many times, bam, there's no coming back again. You gotta start all over on this journey. I thought that was really cool that the creators chose to trick the player like that. Super cool. Very intense. So, before Senua can open the gate to get further on her journey to go into Hellheim, she has to take on these two mini-bosses. The first mini-boss, his name is Valravn. And he is hard, man. Like, to get to him, you have to go through, like, a series of puzzles, which I didn't mind. I mean, it was cool to explore this area. It had a very, like, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess-like feel to it. Exploring these castle ruins, solving these puzzles. Like, Senua, she has, like, I guess it's a foresight thing. She just doesn't see things like normal people do, which is really cool, because it's like saying that the player needs to have a different point of view if they want to progress, make any progress in this game. And it's cool to, like, solve these different puzzles. Like, there's these ruins that you have to get this vision for, and there'll be, like, these sticks lined up in this one shape that Senua has to see that they make the rune shape. She has to line that up to be able to progress in the area. And the battle is awesome. Like, the enemies in this game, they are what make this game horrifying. Like, you'll get in this one area where Senua will finally draw her sword, and you're like, oh yeah, we're getting action, baby! And you fight, and the things you fight are creepy, man. Like, there are these giant people with, these skulls with feathers sticking out of them. The fight is awesome. It's really fun to parry, and to be able to block, and to roll around, to be able to attack. The fighting is awesome. But getting to Valravn, fighting many enemies, solving puzzles, that was the fun part of this game. What I love about Valravn is that before you actually fight him, like, there's this cutscene where Senua's like, she's given up, basically. He's too powerful. This whole time, like, this Raven is picking at her, and the voice behind the camera is like, Senua, do not give up. Will you lie down, or will you fight? And that's when Senua picks up her sword, and that's when the boss battle with Valravn starts. And Valravn is, like, a Bloodborne boss. He's so hard to be able to match his speed, to know the movements with his attacks he's going to do. He's difficult, and each time you get him to this different section of the fight, he'll disappear where his minions will appear, and you gotta take those guys out before you can fight him again, and each time he gets faster in fighting. But eventually you can take him out, and the way that Senua takes him out is so cool. She's like, you did control my field once, but I'm not gonna let you rule me over anymore! And she stabs Valravn in the face. It's one of the coolest boss deaths that the hero of the game has ever done. Very intense, and I loved it. This whole game messes with the mind, and the path to Surtr definitely emphasizes that it's supposed to mess with your mind. Like, on your way through to Surtr, there's puzzles that you have to do for Senua to complete. Like, she has to go through these charred, barren wastelands, and she'll activate these runes. And, like, the villages that she's going through have all been destroyed by massive wildfires. And as the runes have been activated, the memories of what destroyed the villages are activated. So Senua will be running through these burning forests and people screaming to death as she's running through these burning buildings, trying to get out of there to the next checkpoint. And it is intense, because if you're slow enough, she'll suffocate and then burn to death, and the rot on her arm will go farther up to her brain. It's intense. And it's what I loved. The final section, before you face Surtr, you just need to match up more runes to progress. And then you finally get to fight the Fire Lord himself. So, if I'm to be honest, the fight with Surtr honestly disappointed me. Not only was I disappointed of what he looked like I get the game staying true to Norse mythology. Surtr was a fire giant, but I wanted him to look like how he did in Thor Ragnarok, like the giant fire demon that Thor fights at the very beginning of the movie. But instead, he kind of looks like Pyramid Head. Like, he's just this giant buff body with a cage made of fire for his head. Also, the fight for him isn't very hard. It's not hard to evade his movements. The only creepy part is that you're surrounded by a ring of fire between the two of you. And you just have to do simple evasions. And, honestly, he lets you hit him. The fight is super easy, but he's like the easiest boss of the whole game. But it was fun getting to him. I'm just saying that on a tier list for bosses, I would have to give him an F, because he was too easy. But his luck was still pretty cool, though it was disappointing, but I still had fun with him. So after you beat Surtr, you're going back to the gates that block the path to Hellheim, and you fight some more villains, and then you can finally open the gate. And I guess it's like kind of a vision to what Valhalla looks like. Like, Senua is just like in this field, like, again, the graphics for this are beautiful. Like, it's just this giant sunshine-filled grassland, like all the tulips and flowers, and there's like birds flying around, and there's this tree in the middle of the hill, and Senua's just like admiring the beauty, and she's just, the narrator is speaking about what Senua's going through. And then the thing changes to, like, it's all dark and lightning and, like, all gloomy, things like that. There's bodies hanging from the tree. And you learn that in the middle of this tree that there's this sword that's gonna be able to kill Hela, which is what Senua needs to be able to free her lover's soul from Hela. But to be able to get the sword out, she needs to accomplish these 4 tasks. Each of them are just like puzzles. Like, there's this one puzzle that is insane. Like, it's where you just rely on, Senua has to rely on her senses. Like, there's this part where it's all black, and Senua is like, she's talking to the soul of her lover. She's like, Dillion, there's something in here! And Dillion's just like, Senua, can you see it? And she's like, no, I cannot see it. And Dillion goes, then it cannot see you either. Avoid it at all costs. And what is intense is that you have to rely on what little you can see at this point to be able to make your way through the room of this house. Meanwhile, you can hear the creature, whatever it is, rustling around inside. And there's these chains that you can run into that'll call the beast to Senua's location. It's pretty intense. So there's other things like same thing, like, but she's in the swamp, and there's more than one beast, like, looking around for her. Man, it's intense. That was the most intense I've ever felt in a game, and I loved it. Even though the trials of the roots are all taking place in Senua's head, one of them, besides the dark house where you gotta rely on different senses, that is insane, is that there's this one trial where Senua goes in this room, which is burning, and she tries to go through this door and sets the room on fire, so she's running around the house trying to find these ruins to match up with the ruins on the gate so she can open it. And it has this intense feeling that you gotta hurry up. You have no idea where the ruins are. You gotta find your way through this giant puzzle, try to find all the ruins that you can match up with the gate. Then once you get all the ruins matched up with the gate, you gotta find your way back to the gate to be able to open it up and to be able to complete the route task that you're given. It's intense. You have the feeling you're gonna die the whole time. And boy, I've never felt this way about a game before. It's very, very mind-boggling, but at the same time you gotta love it, because it introduces new experiences of playing a game that I thought couldn't exist. But they do, and I love it. So once all the route tasks are complete, Senua will go back to the center of the tree where the sword is, and honestly, it definitely gave me vibes, definitely Legend of Zelda vibes, where Link pulls out the mastersword. It gave me vibes like that with Senua pulling the sword out of the tree. But when she pulls it out, she continues her path to Hellheim, and this is when it gets really creepy. Like, she is going through a river of blood, and this whole time there's like bodies just around her. Like, she's going down this hallway with arms like grabbing at her. There's torsos just writhing around, and the sky is like blood red. There's lightning. It's very hell-like, I should say. And the whole time, like, she's fighting these enemies, and, like, there's parts where the enemies, they kind of are, I wouldn't say they're invisible, but there's a thing, like, where she uses focus, where she just sees things differently. That's what she has to use to fight these enemies and to beat them. But this is awesome. Anyway, the whole thing, like, leads up to this other puzzle thing underground, where she opens up the gate and she learns that the beast Fenrir, his name's Fenrir, he's just another guardian of Hela in Hellheim. But in Norse mythology, he's a giant wolf, which Thor Ragnarok got. But in this one, he's a giant boar, which I didn't understand. Anyway, Fenrir is crazy. Like, solving the task in this one, you just gotta find runes to open up gates and stuff, but it's insane because Fenrir feeds off the darkness, and Senua has to go through different things. Like, there's this one tunnel where she has this torch lit, and she has to go under the water, and in her mind, her voice is like, she can't go under the water, the torch will go out, she'll be in darkness. But she still goes under the water, and luckily in the cave there's like holes with light shining down from like the moon or the sun. But if you ignore those like I did the first couple of times, like Fenrir will catch up to you, and the camera and visual effects, they turned it like something from rated R horror movie. The camera like goes all shaky and it turns like maroon color, and she like screams and it goes staticky and images of her being killed. It's intense. It was intense, man, but so good. It was so good. Anyway, like, once you complete all the puzzles, you finally get to fight Fenrir. You gotta use focus to actually land some hits on him. The fight does take a while. He is a fun boss to fight. I really did enjoy fighting him. But yeah, after you finally kill Fenrir, this is when you get to finally make your way to Hela and save your lover's soul. Hellheim was definitely interesting. Like, it's all stormy, but it's not like blood red stormy. It's like golden color, and the entire time, like, you're fighting all these undead soldiers and enemies, and the music to it is so great and so sad at the same time. I just want to play a clip of it because it was amazing. I loved it. I felt like I was playing a movie because of this video game. It was so good. Anyway, you're in Hellheim fighting all these undead soldiers. Like, there's a point where you're fighting Valravn, Surtr, Fenrir again. You're fighting all these soldiers. Once you complete certain platforms, like, past the Hela will appear, and I probably fought for like half an hour until I finally got overpowered, and when I was killed, I'm like, shit, do I have to do that again? And you get this whole cutscene of Senua trying to bargain with Hela that Hela can have Senua's soul if Dillion, her lover, can live again. Anyway, Hela stabs Senua. Senua dies, and you get this like cutscene where Dillion's speaking with Senua, and he's like, Senua, what I realize is that we should not be afraid of death. Because to be afraid of death is to be afraid to live. Please, let me go. Enjoy your life. It's sad. It's really sad, actually. Anyway, after that, the cutscene ends, and Senua, who's been carrying Dillion's head with her this whole time, she like stands on this cliff, she lets the head of Dillion fall off the cliff. She's like, goodbye, my love. And she turns to the camera, and she says, follow us. We have another journey. And the narrator says, my friend, follow her. Her story is not yet complete. Goodbye. And the game ends. It is crazy. It's a game about not being afraid to die, because it happens to everyone, even though I know a lot of us are afraid to die. It's just a game of conquering our fears, to be able to enjoy life, to just be ourselves, basically. It's a game to be ourselves. I loved it. It had a great message to it. The combat was amazing. I thought it was going to be like Legend of Zelda, but it turned out to be something completely different, which was a twist that I loved. And yeah, I give this game a 10 out of 10. It was amazing. Anyway guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you loved Hellblade as much as I did, please leave that in a comment. Also, if you made it this far, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna get a Steam Deck to play Hellblade 2 because I've been going back and forth about getting a Steam Deck. I've been doing research on it, and I finally decided I'm just gonna go for it. Like, it's a lot of money, like $400, but there's so much you can do. I'm just gonna say, forget about it, and I'm gonna get it. Anyway, guys, thanks for seeing me, and hope you see me again on my next video. We'll see you next time.